This meeting is being recorded and televised. The listing of matters that are reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. The meeting will be held via the Zoom platform. Please log in. You can go to the town's website and check the agenda, and the login will be there. You just push on it and get you there. Or you may join the meeting on your smartphone by calling 1-929-205-6099. For those looking to view the meeting, it can be viewed live at this time on Comcast 11 or Verizon 29. It is also streaming directly from Franklin TV's website via franklin.tv, and just click on the Town Hall TV channel.
Being approximately 7:30 p.m., 435 King Street, Cohasset Aesthetics. Applicant is seeking to conduct retail services in an SFR 3 zone. The use is denied or the variance of the ZBA.
Applicant present?
Yes, good evening. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Richard Cornetta, I'm the attorney representing the applicant. By way of an introduction.
Let me just ask if there's any abutters. Any abutters for 435 King Street? I like this. Nobody shows up. Evidently not. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I should also introduce Mr. Matt Azula Lefevre. He is the principal of Cohasset Aesthetics, PC. He's joining us this evening. They are doing business here in Franklin as H2T Skin and Laser Center. Matt is the principal. He's an RN, and he runs an aesthetic medical practice that provides cosmetic, dermatological treatments for skin, scalp, and hair health. He seeks to operate a comprehensive day spa here in Franklin, which would include a full body service treatments. He, along with Franklin, he will have 3 locations. His principal location being in Foxborough. He employs about 25 people, which they consist of physicians, nurses, nurse practitioners, medical aestheticians, practice managers, sales and marketing professionals, and patient care representatives. The property that we're discussing tonight is 435 King Street, which has been referred to as the McGann Professional Building. It's located on the corner of King and Union Street. I'm sure most of you are familiar with it. It's an attractive office building that was built in 2006. It's presently owned by Rose and Joe LLC, who has joined as the owner in this application. It's a 2-story building, as I say, built in 2006. It's got a gross floor area of approximately 8,800 square feet, about 4,400 on each floor. Along with the building, there's a paved parking area which facilitates approximately 40 motor vehicles for parking. As mentioned, it's located in a single-family 3 zone. The previous occupant and the previous use of this building was for medical use, and they were able to do that in a single-family 3 zone because in 2006 they received a special permit for this particular use from the planning board. Why we're here this evening is because Matt has now taken over as the tenant of the property, and it was discovered after he took occupancy that there was a little bit of a misunderstanding as far as what he was doing or what he planned to do at this particular location compared to the previous occupant and their special permit. As I mentioned, Matt is planning to conduct an aesthetic medical practice which provides comprehensive cosmetic dermatological treatments for skin, scalp, and hair. In addition to these facial aesthetics, he also offers non-medical solutions for those that are suffering with hair loss, which may include personal salon and stylist services. And it's these services that has created a little bit of ambiguity about this use. Because we are located in the single-family 3 zoning district, if you look at the town zoning bylaw, section 185.3, which is the definitional section of the code, it talks about salon services being as personal retail, which would be in isolation a use that is not permitted within the single family 3 zone. However, because of Matt's very unique blend of non-medical, medical, and surgical solutions that are being offered for this varied cosmetic dermatological treatment salon, the concern has been raised both by the building commissioner moving forward. Is he permitted to do these salon and stylist services at this location? And so in order to kind of solve this issue, we believe that the definition that is in the code is a bit cumbersome, and there has to be a more nuanced interpretation of it because of the very unique services that Matt is offering. The town code specifically provides some guidance. It doesn't provide us a complete clear path here to solve this issue, but it does provide some guidance. If we look at section 185(18), it does provide us a criteria to be applied that you typically as a board applies when you make a decision whether a change of use is substantially different than the previous use. And in this particular case, my understanding of the property, the use was, it was a medical office, medical services were provided by the previous occupant tenant of the property. And we would suggest that if you would apply this section 18 criteria, whether this use that Matt is proposing would be substantially different, it would be determined that the use by reason of its normal operation would cause readily observable differences in patronage, service, physical appearance, noise, employment, or similar characteristics from the previous use, or from, in fact, or from any permitted use in the zoning district which the property is located. Well, we would suggest, as we've included in our materials, that this is a very unique salon that is being proposed for the town of Franklin. The salon services would not be confused with a traditional retail salon, as each of the salon suites as being provided on the second floor would be individual suites ranging in size from 80 to 130 square feet that would allow a private one-on-one client service, unlike what you might be more familiar with in a retail setting where you have a row of salon chairs and there's more of a communal activity going on with retail areas located. This would be very tantamount or similar to a medical facility. The proposed suites would be by appointment only service. There would be no walk-ins. The clients would proceed directly to the provider's suite at their selected appointment time. There's no reception desk, waiting room, or retail area, as I mentioned, that you would see in a typical or traditional retail salon. The building would be operated as a secure facility, and the clients would reach their services and their provider through an intercom system and a security entrance. I should mention at this point, I've been informed that the chairman did visit the site today, and unfortunately, they had opened the doors and they were airing out the facility, and so he was able to enter the facility. But I have been informed there is an intercom system there. It was used by the prior operator, and it will be in use moving forward should the board be inclined to grant this relief. The medical facial aesthetics that are being offered along with these ancillary personal salon and stylist services, we believe would be a use by reason of their normal operation, that there would be no readily observable differences in any of the characteristics that I mentioned: the patronage, the service, the physical appearance, the noise, the employment. I mean, for those that are driving by this nice professional building, you'd never know that what is going on inside is any different than the previous occupant that was granted the special permit. In fact, if you observe the building and its surrounding neighborhood, it is very commercial despite its residential zoning designation. I think some of you might be familiar with this particular property. For years, there were proposals to try to rezone this area because where the property is located, it's across the street from a business district, or I believe it may be C2 in the designation. And there are 3 restaurants. You've got Sierra's Pizza, you've got the King Street Cafe, you have the Chateau. The gas station is directly across the street. It's in the shadows of the entrances to Route 495. There are 2 multi-storied hotels that are located immediately adjacent to the neighborhood. So anyone that drives by this particular property and sees this nice commercial building would never know, unless they had some particular inside knowledge, that the zoning of the property is a residential zone. In fact, when in 2006, when they built the building, the planning board did allow for this medical use, with the intended consequence that it would be occupied as a commercial endeavor. It just becomes difficult if you're going to just strictly limit it to what the code defines as medical use, because we believe that the board would have an opportunity to try to determine that this particular use is not, in fact, just strictly a retail use, simply because some individuals may be going in there to get their hair done, because of the very unique characteristics of the medical and aesthetic cosmetic services that are being offered, that are very closely connected to the stylist and the salon services. So if you notice in the application, we weren't sure how to apply for this, because what we did is we applied under the idea that giving the board an opportunity to decide what the appropriate remedy might be in this particular circumstance. What I mean by that is we reference section 185-45 D2, which allows the board to take appeals or almost render findings in certain circumstances where a party has been aggrieved by a decision or a non-decision by the building commissioner, or the more extreme relief that we would be requesting would be for a variance of use. If the board is uncomfortable granting or making that determination that this use is similar to the medical use of the predecessor that was granted under the special permit, and is not comfortable with just giving us a finding that says, yes, what you're planning to do is substantially similar, and we believe that you fall within that earlier special permit, then we would go to the more dramatic step of asking the board for a variance for use. And that would be under section 185-45 D2 as well. So we're giving the board an opportunity to try to decide as best we can what the appropriate remedy going forward would be. But I think ultimately, we're hoping that logic would dictate, given the site, given the surrounding neighborhood, given what we're proposing to do, and given the fact that this building has already been built, it's a very attractive building with a more than substantial parking area to address what Matt is proposing to do there. We're hopeful that logic will prevail, and we'll be able to figure out, with your help, what the appropriate remedy is to let Matt continue to complete the building and occupy and use the building, because we think it's a very unique use that a lot of communities do not have. And quite frankly, Matt's done up to this point, he's done a great job in terms of renovating. He spent up to $100,000 to renovate the interior of the building, and is hopeful that Franklin will welcome him to conduct his business as he intends. So with that said, I would entertain any questions of the board at this time.
We hear from Matt. Is
What's
Matt
that?
on the call? Is
Matt
Matt on
is-
the call?
Yes, he is.
I'm here.
Okay. Why don't you just explain a little bit? I'm curious. I went to the building today, beautiful building. You're the receptionists, they're not receptionists, but the girls that met me at the door, Ashley and Kelsey,
Yes.
very good. She took me for a walk upstairs because I wanted to see what a spa suite looks like.
Mhm.
They all basically look the same to me. They all have a bowl for washing hair in them. You know what I mean? And I guess that the question has come up, and I think you've done a great job. I understand you've been open since 11/11/22. I haven't heard anything about the building, about any problems with parking or anything else like that. So, how many stylists do you plan on having in the building at any one time, I guess is my question. That's the big question that comes up from everybody.
So the building is able to accommodate 21 individual suites. However, those suites wouldn't be operated all at the same time. So on average, there would be about half the amount of stylists there at any one time. So about 10 stylists in the building at most at any one time. The stylists typically have a 3-day work week and work on average 6 hours a day. So there's not a lot of substantial crossover between those individuals.
How many days a week? What days are you open?
We are open Monday through Saturday,
Hours?
from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on some days and 8 p.m. on other days.
Okay. I mean, 10 stylists, you get 10 stylists, that's 10 cars, you get 10 stylist customers, that's another 10 cars. I was there today, there had to be at least 10 cars in there. I know you got a 40 car lot, but you know, if you got 10 stylists bringing in them 10, 20 cars, plus what you got downstairs, that doesn't count the patients that you got downstairs. So obviously, we don't want to make a crowded situation. It hasn't been ever since it was a medical, it was opened up. I don't remember anybody complaining about the traffic. And I don't assume you're going to have any traffic anyway, because, you know, as it's been explained before, the more traffic you got, the less customers you're going to have, because they're not going to want to try to sit in the street waiting to pull in. But anyway, the building looks very nice. And I just happened to show up unannounced, and I was just curious about something I was told, so I checked it out. But anyway, got a really nice place there. So,
Thank you.
and I see that you do, in your flyer here, you do mention hair stuff. So maybe you can help out your attorney when we're done here.
Jeez.
How dare
No
you.
comment.
Maybe they can do a replant, you know. But anyway, all right. Thank you, Matt.
Wow.
Are there any abutters?
Yes.
Could you identify yourself, please?
Hi, this is Paula Arsenal. I live across the street in Ledgewood. I'm an abutter, but it's a residence.
Okay.
So I'm just concerned, well, you know, as you spoke, the additional traffic, but also the parking. Is that something that we're going to be able to hear across the street?
I mean,
mean-
parking's parking, whether you got 10 cars, 20 cars, whatever. I mean, people pull in
No.
and they leave. You know, it's not contractors coming in with equipment. You know, it's just people coming in to get a medical procedure or to get a stylist comments on
No,
their appearance.
I said the noise level, will we be able to hear the dogs barking, not parking?
Oh, wait, you're in the wrong hearing, hon. You're in the next one. You're in the one for up at Franklin Village Mall.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. I thought it
Yeah,
started.
No,
at
hang on.
7:30.
We'll take up that one right after we get done with this one.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
All right.
Can I apologize?
Okay.
Bye.
Megan, any questions?
No questions, Mr. Chairman. It makes sense to me. And it's yeah, it's in a very nice commercial building, well, commercial looking building anyway. It's not on that corner.
Archie, any questions, comments?
No questions. My doctor was in that office on the second floor for God knows how many years. I'm familiar with the building and I don't see any issues with it.
Okay. Philip?
I just don't understand what a stylist is. I'm, old fashioned. I don't know what the verbiage is. What's a stylist? Matt,
Yes, so a stylist is someone who essentially styles hair. As simple as that.
oh, we used to call them hairdressers. That's what I just.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
Hairstyle.
You're
You know,
using verbiage that I don't understand. If you said hairdresser, I would
Thank you.
understand.
Phil, they can charge more for a stylist than they can a hairdresser.
Oh, I get it.
same
So,
thing.
so it's by appointment only, and you're not gonna have 3 women or men on there trying to, just one person in the room at a time.
That is true. One-on-one.
Okay.
No barber, a spinning barber pole out by the door or anything, right?
There is not, sir.
Okay. Gus, the building
Good
commissioner,
evening, Mr. Chairman.
anything you want to add?
Sure, Attorney Canetta brought up a couple items that I'd like to talk about. The use will not be confused with a typical retail salon. That door will be locked, Matt, in the
Yes,
future?
it is. So I installed that system when we took occupancy of that building. It's a $16,000 security system consisting of 8 to, I believe, 10 cameras on the exterior and interior, and it involves an intercom system with magnetic lock doors. So I've invested a substantial amount of money into the security of that building. And as I said, it's not a walk-in facility. Anyone coming to that building should have an appointment. My concern when we took occupancy was there were some random cars in the parking lot at different times, and it looked a bit suspicious. So my concern initially right off the bat was for the security of the people who do work there. And that is why I also installed the door locks and the intercom system.
The stylist had asked me for a DBA. Will they advertise hair cutting services there outside of what you do?
Advertise as far as, I don't understand what you mean.
You have, in particular, what you've stated to me is that they will be part of your operation, although not work for you. They
Correct.
will be someone that takes care of your clients. Will they at any point advertise for hair cutting services there outside of what you do?
What they do on their own time and in their own, circle of influence, I have no control over.
Okay, so that's the key thing here. I want to make sure that if this gets into the decision, that it's accurate, whatever you tell us and whatever you're asking for. If that stylist is going to advertise retail cutting services outside of your operation, I would like that put into the decision.
Yeah, I guess I just don't understand. There's all kinds of advertising, and I've invested, as Rich mentioned, 100,000 in construction, another 100,000 in equipment and furnishings for that building. So I have, almost $250,000 investment. In this economic environment, it's hard enough for any business to make money. To be under a restriction that I can't advertise my services is.
I'm not asking that, Matt. Sorry to interrupt you. I'm just asking that if they want to do retail services there outside of your operation, I'd like to get into the decision if that's amicable to everyone. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking you to change what you would like to do or what you come here for, but it's strictly the board's decision as to whether or not that gets put in. They don't have to agree with me. They don't have to put that in the decision. I'm asking the board to do that. That's all.
And I guess the question becomes, are the stylists that you have working in your building going to be advertising in, they could have advertised in the Observer? It's a local email paper that goes out every morning at 7 o'clock, or the Milford Daily News or something like that. Obviously, you advertise somewhere. You're not going to be advertising. Are you going to be advertising them? Or are they going to be tied in with your advertising?
No, not at all. So our advertising and marketing is for the Skin and Laser Center for the medical side. The individuals that will be in the salon suites have established clientele when they come in. They're not business builders who come in and are trying to build up a clientele. They come in and they're making, an investment that dictates that in order to pay that monthly charge to be in that suite, they would have to have the clientele already established to be able to do so. These aren't stylists that are coming out of, hair cutting school that are trying to build their business and need to put up billboards or, advertisements around town. I have another one of these facilities in Foxborough. As to the best of my knowledge, none of those stylists have any advertising that I've ever seen. And again, the only advertising that we do is for our Skin and Laser Center, mostly online marketing these days.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, and just for clarity, it didn't sound like Gus is asking to put a restriction on that advertising. He's just saying, I'd like it, be called out that if they're going to do it, that it be mentioned in the decision. Is that right, Gus? Or
That's
is that?
correct.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. I
And
don't think-
it's not just the advertising part, it's the word of mouth as well. So I would like to get that put into the decision. I have no problem with what Matt wants to do out there if the board approves it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Gus, one other question, because you heard the whole thing. The attorney and I had a discussion earlier this week about a finding as opposed to a variance. Because, you could consider that all these spa medical centers, med spa or whatever you want to call it, do basically the same thing. It's like a whole body experience. You want to have your hair done, you get your hair done. You want to have your body, your facelift, and people don't want hair, have it lasered off or whatever. So I just think it's ancillary to the medical business that they do. So
I have no
You know,
problem with a finding.
okay, that'll make it clean and simple.
Yep.
But okay, anyone else have any other questions? All I hear is crickets. Okay, well, Richie, why don't you just, well, we can do that at the thing. I guess I got to ask the board, how do you feel about granting a finding as opposed to going through a variance procedure? Archie,
I don't have a problem with it.
okay, Philip,
No, just long as Gus's verbiage is in there.
well, he's just, they're not, the trouble is that these people don't really work for Matt. They work with Matt, I guess you could say. But they're working on their own, and as it sounds, they're gonna no different than a stylist that works somewhere else. They pay for the chair. They pay like rental on the chair. Plus, there's obviously, because they do some hair stuff here, sometimes people that do hair suggest that the patients go back to their stylist. So I'm sure that Matt's gonna have somebody that he prefers to have his patients go to than rather just go down the street to, Joe the barber or whoever. Is that right, Matt?
That is correct. Yes, sir.
Okay.
I just get a little problem with how many could be there. He's throwing a number out there, but it's not.
Well, listen, there's a lot of rooms up there. I was taken aback by the number of rooms.
Yeah,
I didn't,
so
he
he's saying it's
says
only
10.
10, but there's 20 rooms. I don't know how many rooms are up there, but he's throwing a number out there that isn't accurate. Because
So-
Well, this,
Unless he puts a number saying, yes, there's only going to be 10 there instead of 20. I don't know how it's supposed to be there.
Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, if I could address that concern.
Yeah. go ahead.
I know this board doesn't typically address parking because it's more of a purview of a planning board when you're doing site plan. But if you look at the regulations for parking, they're tied directly to the square footage of the building. And so when this building was approved, we're talking about 8,800 square feet. At the time, about half of it was relegated to medical, and then the other half was, I believe, for office. But if we take that calculation and we just simply say, okay, of the 8,800 square feet, if we apply the bylaw, which says you need one parking space per 200 square feet, it comes out to 44 parking spaces. They have 40 parking spaces. So I believe there's more than sufficient parking, despite, the concerns being raised by Mr. Brunelli about, the number of stylists. They still, if we apply the standard that is applied by the zoning bylaw, they're still within the realm of the required parking spaces. And I should say, we do this, we talk about this all the time at the planning board. I understand the board, the town is concerned that a particular site and a particular use has sufficient parking. But you know who's more concerned about that? The occupant. Because in a business like Matt's, if he is charging the amount of money that I anticipate he is going to be charging for his services, he is certainly not going to have a customer come into that parking lot and not be able to find a parking space. It's just not going to happen. And he operates a facility in Foxborough of a similar size. It's about 8,300 square feet. And he shares that with a law office, I believe a gym. He was telling me there are 4 other users in that building, and they have 45 parking spaces, and they have never had a parking issue because they don't allow it to happen. So I understand the board's concern, but just rest assured that, like I said, the only people that are more concerned about it are the occupants.
Can I, Attorney Canetta, I'm not talking about parking. I'm talking about what Matt said. They had so many units up there, but only half the units are going to be used. He brought it up, not me. I didn't mention anything about.
I apologize. I thought you were tying it to the parking.
No, no. I was trying to put my hand, all that stuff. It's nothing to do with park. He made the statement that would only be half full, not me.
Well, I believe what he meant by that, and Matt certainly correct me if I'm wrong, is because of their staggered scheduling that they implement, and part of it is because of the space outside, that they're, of the 21 suites, scheduling wise, only about 10 or 11 of them will be operating at one time. So there won't be conflict. Matt?
That is correct. And I'm basing that information off of our Foxborough facility that is substantially similar in square footage and number of suites, size, stylists. Therefore, each stylist is assigned this private suite that belongs to them. No one else uses it. However, not all of those stylists work at the same time. They're not Monday through Saturday employees. Typically, they have 3-day work weeks and they work on average about 6 hours a day. So there's not a lot of overlap between all of them. At any given time, what I'm saying is there's probably going to be 9, 10, 11 stylists working there simultaneously. Certainly not 21.
Okay, that kind of cleared it up.
Okay, Attorney Canetta, now that we're on board with the finding, you want to just go through the basis of the finding so that we don't have to discuss it after we close the public hearing?
Certainly. Would you like me? Well, the basis of the finding is that it would fall under, as I said, it's section 185-45D2C3, which empowers this board to address appeals by an applicant that in this particular case where we believe that the determination or lack of determination of Mr. Brown, we're seeking a finding from this board. And there is no specific criteria, as I say, but I took the criteria that we apply typically in a case of where you're going from one use to another and trying to compare those two uses and determine if the latter use is substantially different than the previous use. And as I said, the standard is, and I will cite and read from the section, it says, a substantial difference in use is a use which by reason of its normal operation would cause readily observable differences in patronage, service, physical appearance, noise, employment, or similar characteristics from the previous use. And our assertion is that none of that exists because to the observer, someone outside the building, observing the building, passing by the building, there is no material difference that will occur from what Matt is proposing to do than from the previous user. And also in the code section, it does mention you can also take into consideration what is also permitted as use in the zoning district or in the neighborhood of this property. And we've pointed out that it is quite a commercial property. If you look across the street, it's all commercial. So for those reasons, we would suggest that the board could make this determination and finding in our favor.
Okay. Anything else anybody want to add? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Microphone's on.
Yeah, okay, so move.
Second it.
A motion made and seconded to close the public hearing. It has to be a roll call vote because we're remote. Chair votes yes. Philip,
Yes,
Archie,
Yes,
thank you. I'll entertain a motion that I'll just put it out there and somebody can move it. That we grant a finding for Cocasset, what do they go by? Cocasset Aesthetics, PC, the tenant, for determination to personal salon and style service plan to be offered, maybe which may be in addition to connection ancillary to the medical services being provided at the subject property would be considered a use consistent with and not substantially different than the medical use allowed at the subject property previously granted by a special permit of planning board on March 6th, 2006. And that the finding will go for Cocasset Aesthetic PC only. It will run with them and not go with the property.
second,
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? There's Attorney Canetta provide us with a nice decision, which is a little bit longer than that. It's a couple more pages that we're going to use for the decision. But anyway, he was nice enough to present that to us today, yesterday, whenever it was. But anyway, with all that being said, I'll call for the vote. Roll call vote. Archie,
yes.
Philip,
yes.
chair votes yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Matt,
Thank
you better check on that front door. It wasn't locked very good today.
I'm on it.
I'll get you $16,000 worth.
No, no kidding. I want to get my money's worth.
No,
Thank
she was
you.
very nice. She was very nice and all apologetic, but you know, it was too nice a day to keep the door closed.
Yeah, well, I'm also on vacation in Florida, so she might have thought when the cat's away, I don't know.
Yeah, no,
Hey,
don't,
hey,
don't,
Matt? Matt, I'd just like to add, if you do work, decide you want to do something else in Franklin, please pull a building permit before you start the job.
Great advice, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, time being approximately 7:35 PM. 5-245 Franklin Village Drive, Red Barn Dog Ops, Mass LLC. Applicant is seeking to operate a dog spa, pet daycare, border business. The use is denied without a special permit from the CBA.
applicant present.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Edward Cannon on behalf of the applicant Red Dog Ops, MA LLC. I'm joined tonight by Jim Riley and Kayla Seeley from Red Dog Ops. They actually operate as Dogtopia, so they refer to them as
Okay,
Dogtopia.
just hold on one sec, just hold
Sure.
on a second,
Yep.
Mr. Cannon. Any abutters for Red Barn Dog Ops at Franklin Village Drive? I think with Paula, I think this is the one that you wanted to talk about when we get to that point.
Yes, yes. I
Okay.
live across
Thank-
the street.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Attorney Cannon, go ahead.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we're before the board tonight to seek a special permit under the table of use regulations, section 2.2, 2.21, and 2.22, for what can best be described as an upscale dog grooming, daycare, and border facility. And if I may, Mr. Chairman, what I'd like to do is introduce Jim Riley to sort of take the board through a little bit about the company and about the sort of physical plant that's proposed. And then ask Kayla Seeley to sort of take the board through the operation itself so the board can get a sense of that. And then after they've done their thing, come back and I could respectfully take the board through the special permit criteria, if that's okay with the chair.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. So Jim, if you could please sort of take the board through and Casey, I'm not sure if it's possible for Jim to share his screen. He's got some photograph, some slides and potentially some photographs to share with us.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time. Kayla and I are part of a business called Red Barn Dog Holdings. We are a franchisee area developer for the brand Dogtopia. We currently own and operate 29 facilities with our 30th location currently under construction. The span of our real estate is from Massachusetts, so we're exclusive owners of the Eastern Mass territory. I would describe that as really Worcester into Boston and down to Rhode Island and up to the New Hampshire border, and as far south as Raleigh, North Carolina. What you see here, can you see our screen?
Yes.
So we're proposing to combine two spaces, Sally's Alley, which is a blind and curtain business, and what was next to it is currently vacant, used to be Expressions Enrichment. So combining for 4,800 square feet, and building kind of one of our prototypical daycares. And the business is in order of magnitude. The daycare is by far the most significant part of the business. Spa and boarding are kind of ancillary to our operations, but combining for about 25%, 18 on the boarding side and 7 or so on the spa services. We don't do professional grooming. We do more, that's why we call it spa. We do baths, teeth cleaning, ear cleaning, nail trims, that kind of stuff. I think we have a picture of the end cap. So this is the space. It was also highlighted on that site plan. And we can take you through a presentation about the use and explain in more detail what we do. And certainly Paula will address your questions when the time comes.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. All right. So the main thing, sorry, Kayla Seeley, the main thing that Dogtopia is focused on is truly socialization and exercise for the pups and their care. As you can see here, we refer to it as a fresh and modern facility. I say that because we go beyond the desk, and what people typically in the past have thought of as dog facilities. They think of kennels, they think of, dark, very sort of, smelling type of places where everything stops at the front desk. And with us, we really pride ourselves on having that level of transparency, taking pet parents beyond the desk, taking them on tours of the facility. You walk in, it's bright, it's light, it smells fresh, and that continues throughout the facility.
Gail, are you rolling pictures or just was that one page that was on that screen?
That one was one page. Do you see community trust?
I got that one now, but the way you were talking, I thought we were looking at pictures of all the dogs and the thing and everything, but I didn't see that. So, okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry. So talking about community trust, obviously, certification, all of our training for our dogs, for every employee that is within the facility is certified by International Association of Animal Behavior Consultants, also Certification Council for Professional Dog Trainers. We also ensure that all of our employees go through the Hero for Healthy Pets program, which essentially is for infectious disease management. We have a safety officer certification that is focused on emergency protocols, emergency evacuation, isolation protocols, and our general managers go through a very rigorous curriculum referred to as Power of the GM, which takes them through all facets of the business. In terms of peace of mind, we have webcams that are available to the pet parents that either are through the app that's on their smartphone or through the website that streams from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. each day. We use a pet safe cleaning protocol, and also we have an environmental biologist, a canine behaviorist, as well as a veterinarian that is available to us through the Dogtopia support office for any questions or support that we may need. In terms of being good neighbors, our number one objective when we enter into, a lease opportunity or a tenant opportunity is to ensure that odor, noise, waste, all of those things are addressed. Otherwise, it would become a daily headache for us. So we focus heavily on the noise control. We make sure that our facilities are fresh and are clean. And we also back that up with an operational support team that ranges from trainers to managers, you name it, to ensure that the facilities have what they need to operate smoothly. Dogtopia itself has been around for over 20 years. We're 230 units and counting at this point. We do offer, daycare, boarding, and spa services. We anticipate that this will bring 20 to 25 positions to the area, a mix of both full and part-time. And we are the largest multi-unit operator in the Dogtopia system, with 29 active daycares open at this point. And our belief at the end of the day is that socialization promotes better canine citizens. That's our goal. We want to ensure that these pups are socialized, that they are able to be with other dogs, that they are able to be with other people, and they're getting the exercise that they need. We do have a pretty rigorous entrance program, I'll say. Our vaccine requirements, first and foremost, we obviously require rabies, bordetella, distemper. We also require the canine influenza virus vaccine. We do a lot of training on recognizing health concerns, anything that could come up within the daycare, injury and illness prevention. All of our team members have to go through and become certified in canine CPR training. And then also the Heroes for Healthy Pets that I referenced earlier, which is really on the illness management standpoint. Our canine coach training, I would say before anyone, even gets to go into a playroom with the dogs, they complete over 80 hours of training. That's for their initial training. Over the course of the next 14 to 30 days, depending if full or part-time, they go through an additional 80 hours of training. It's a 3-part curriculum where they learn about things like canine body language, the playroom safety protocols, any type of health concerns, and also have the access to a library of playroom videos where they can see dogs interacting and how to recognize those behaviors. Our cleaning program is all entirely pet safe. This is part of their initial training curriculum. We also have UV lights that are in our HVAC system. We install an additional layer on top of that, Synexa system, which is an antimicrobial defense, which distributes dry hydrogen peroxide that kills many viruses and bacteria, anything that's airborne or surface-borne, including things like COVID, canine cough, you name it, that is dispersed throughout the facility. Our illness prevention, as we mentioned before, and everything that we use within the facility is OSHA compliant. When you walk into the facility, as I mentioned, it will be fresh, it will be clean, it will be bright, very welcoming, very different than what most people think of when they think of a dog type of facility. We do have cleaning equipment that we use to ensure that the facility is clean at all times. One of our cleaning solutions, also pet safe, is a bioenzymatic odor digester, which really helps to treat odor at its source. So if there's any urine within the facility, that bioenzymatic digester will actually break it down, not only help to treat the stain itself, but also to help with the odor. And then we have a full waste management plan in place as well. In terms of design of the facility, all of our facilities are set up for the most part the same way. We have 3 playrooms that are separated by both size and temperament. And we have home style crates within the rooms. And throughout the day, the pet parents can watch the webcams to see their pups play with the other pups in the facility. Do you want to touch on the other aspects of how the playrooms are managed from an HVAC standpoint?
Yes. Jim Riley again, Kayla referencing we use a specialty HVAC system for the playrooms. It provides 100% air exchange on a constant basis. So it brings in outside air at 100%. Traditional HVAC systems do not. They range from 20 to 60% of outside air mixed with recirculated air. So we exchange the air in the playrooms constantly. As Kayla mentioned, the UV and dry hydrogen peroxide systems within that HVAC system. If I can, I'll touch on acoustics. This is a mixed-use building with office space above. We have multiple locations in buildings that are mixed use with tenants above us. And we will really spare no expense to create an acoustical envelope, in this case, also on the ceiling, not just the walls around the playrooms, to truly isolate the sound. I mean, we are tenants currently in 29 locations. 5 of them are mixed use with tenants above, both residential and office. And in one case, retail above. It was 2-story. It's in Dedham, actually. We have learned how and have engineers to solve really any acoustic scenario so that noise does not emanate from the facility. There's no outdoor facility proposed here. Sometimes we have them. We don't always. In this case, we are not proposing one.
And this is an example of one of our playrooms with the play equipment in there. You can see the home style crates in which pups take naps between 12 and 2 each day. And then also the same home style crates in which they would stay overnight with us. I think we already saw the
Address
site plan earlier, and I'm going to, if possible, bring up the floor plan just so it's a little bit more visible. But this is our standard setup, as we mentioned, with 3 playrooms. Obviously, the lobby in which you enter through, an area for the dogs to receive the spot services, and then utility and what we refer to as the human space of the facility.
Whereabouts would you enter on that plan?
So if we go back to,
That's the proposed lobby. And this is a preliminary floor plan, what we call a test fit, just to make sure that the piece of real estate is adequate for what we want to do. In this case, it's showing the entrance. If you could go back to the floor plan, it's really in the space that's not Sally's, it's the former Expressions storefront. We also think this is well located within the shopping center. Will enjoy great visibility off of 140, but it's isolated and with its kind of own dedicated parking almost. There are some Tesla charging stations down there, but that parking, every time I've been there in the last few months, is virtually not used, or some of the stuff along in the back of the center is used by employees. So
I got news for you. I went by there this afternoon. That lot in front of the Tesla charging stations was full. I don't know what was going on, but it was full, crowded. Not that you need parking spaces, because you just need people to be able to drop off their pet and pick it up.
yeah.
we're not.
But I'm just telling you, I know what you mean, because usually nobody wants to park down there because it's too far to walk. I don't even think the people charging their cars want to park down there because it's a long way from the walk if they're going anywhere in the mall. But okay, I don't mean to cut your presentation short, but you all set with that?
No, I
Well,
think
while it's fresh in our minds, I want to just go through the board, see if they have any questions.
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay. Megan, any questions?
Yeah, you mentioned your you have HVAC and HVAC system to scrub things out. So it's gonna be a dedicated HVAC. You're not gonna be, using a common system with your neighbors or anything like that?
It's dedicated to our space. Yeah, it's
Okay.
very specialized.
Two different systems.
Yeah, we have a smaller system, but again, independent of any other tenants. There's no common shared HVAC. We have a typical HVAC unit which will provide, the normal conditioning and heating of the human space, and then the direct outside air system, which is for the playrooms.
Thank you, and Mr. Chairman, I have no more questions.
All right, Archie, any question?
Do we have any abutters that are in that building that are here?
No, all we got is Paula that lives across the street that I'm aware of.
Okay, and are we talking, I'm looking at the plan set here and it's calling it suite 48 and 50. Is that the actual suite numbers?
Yes,
Right, that's the end cap there. And is there office space above you?
there is.
You don't think that the parking is gonna be an issue for the people that are above you?
We don't. And so typically at any given time, I'll say at the max time, we may require 2 to 3 spots for our pet parents when they're picking up and dropping off, but we tend to be quite parking light in terms of a use.
Will you be putting in a side door that faces, let's say, the Tesla charging stations?
We are not proposing that, no.
Because I do see problems with people just parking out in front of the building there, as opposed to pulling off to the side and getting out.
Well,
No,
I did mention this floor plan, I mean, it's just lines on paper, as I said, a test fit to make sure that the facility worked. It could be manipulated to do that if that was something that the board felt was appropriate.
And
Well, there's a fire lane in front of that building. I think, people that go to UPS to drop stuff off, they park in the fire lane there,
Mhm.
and that's maybe what he's worried about. I mean, you couldn't be in a better spot in that mall because you're on the end cap, I was a little bit surprised when I rode by there today and I saw Sally's Alley's there. Boy, she's not gonna be happy, but evidently she's moving somewhere else or going somewhere else or whatever. I don't know, but not my business. But that you're taking her space and the space beside it.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Archie, anything else?
No, I'm all set.
Okay, Philip?
Yeah, the boarding at night is gonna be someone on board, human, watching the dogs at night.
So we have someone that's there until about 10:30 at night and back around 5 a.m. in the morning. We monitor the facility remotely through cameras, any type of motion that's detected, water, fire, temperature, you name it. That's how we monitor all of our facilities. So any fluctuations or even slight deviations from what is considered an ideal optimum environment, we're notified from, and someone is there within a couple of minutes.
What about walking the dogs around the mall?
No, that is not part of our use whatsoever. All of our dogs are indoors the entire time that they are there for daycare or boarding services.
And what type of training do you do?
We have no formal training program proposed for this facility. The training that's done is within the rooms in terms of behavioral modifications, but nothing that is a formal training program.
Also, we have behavioral modification training.
In terms of the way in which the dogs socialize together, the activities that they do, being introduced to other dogs, but we don't have a training program proposed for this facility.
Okay.
All set, Paul?
Yep.
Okay. How many employees?
At any given time, there's about 5 to 6 employees on site. we plan on having a total of 20 to 25, which is a split of both full and part-time employees.
And what are your hours of operation for pickup and drop off?
We're 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week. Obviously heavier on the morning side and the evening side, so 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., 5 to 7 p.m. And we do offer, I know that it was brought up before in terms of parking and, you know, where people are going to bring their pups. We do offer a curbside service that's available through the Dogtopia app, which means that pet parents are able to notify us, let us know they'll be there in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is. We have a strict protocol around that. However, we know that our pet parents spend on average less than 2 minutes picking up and dropping off their dog.
How many square feet did you say the facility was?
It's just over 4,800 square feet.
How many dogs you plan to put in 48? How many square feet you need per dog?
About 70% of that is reserved for dogs. On average, our facilities have about 45 dogs per day. You know, we have room for up to about 35 dogs per day per playroom, but because of the way in which we separate them by size and temperament, that varies across the playrooms. But we know on average across our 29 locations is about 45 dogs per day.
And you say boarding, is it daily, weekly, monthly? I mean,
It's typically our existing pet parents. So we work off of an enrollment model, very similar to what you would experience with a child daycare model. Pet parents sign up for a set number of days each week, and the overwhelming majority of our overnight stays are based on those enrolled pet parents. Obviously, you have your, you know, peaks based on holiday times or vacation weeks, et cetera. But for the most part, well over 80% of our business is on the daycare, with a, you know, small incremental portion being for the overnight stays for existing pet parents.
okay, what do you do with the dog feces?
All of the waste is picked up immediately, double bagged, treated at the source, and then disposed into a container that will then be put out into the dumpster, which is picked up at regular intervals. And the dumpster is also washed with a specialized cleaner at minimum on a quarterly basis.
You don't have an outside potty patch, you know, when you bring your dog to the vet or you bring them somewhere else, they want to defecate or urinate on the sidewalk or whatever. How do you handle that?
I will tell you that based on our 29 locations, it's actually rare because this is a regular activity for these pups. They've already gone before they've gotten into their pet parent's car. They get to the facility. They're super excited to be there. They can't wait to see their other friends. They run into the facility and everything is taken care of within the facility. However, anything that may happen outside of the facility, our team is trained to ensure that it's picked up right away.
And you're not proposing any veterinary services?
We are not.
Okay,
I got another question.
okay, Philip, go ahead.
How long does the dog stay in the crate during a normal 8-hour day?
So our facility is open for 12 hours for play from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Between 12 and 2 is when we do our nap time. During that time, any pups that need to receive lunch, depending on the pet parent's preference, they receive it during that time. It's important that after they receive lunch, at minimum, they rest for an hour after that to cut down on any possibility of bloat. And we also completely sanitize the room from top to bottom during that time as well. So between 12 and 2 every day, the dogs are in the home sale crates for their nap time, but they have up to 10 hours of open play per day.
Okay, so the
What
dog's 5, 6 hours.
Sorry, can you say that again?
So the dog is not put in there 3 or 4 hours a day, just that 2 hours.
No, only between 12 and 2, just so they can eat, have ample time to rest, to reduce any possibility of bloat, and also for the team to be able to sanitize the playrooms to make it a healthy environment.
Okay.
Yep.
What about it, what about the overnight boarding? Well, how, they go in the crate, those dogs go in a crate all night from 9 till 7 in the morning?
No, not from 9 till 7, from about 10:30 at night until about 5 in the morning. Similar to if you were to leave your pup either during the day or overnight when they're sleeping.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, Paula, you still on the call?
I am, and I'm down to 1%. My major concern was the noise level, also the safety factor for both people in the parking lot and the animals, the dogs, should one get away from their owner. And the increased amount of traffic to that location. Living across the street, I can barely get up the road on a daily basis. And if it's about 40 more cars entering that in the morning and the evening, it's just a concern I have.
You're fortunate, Paula, you live there, you have to come out through a controlled intersection, so there's always the
Right.
opportunity for the light to change and you can come and go. As far as the noise, you heard that they use sound deadening material. The dogs aren't outside at all, so I expect you're gonna get more noise from 495 than you are from this dog facility.
I hope so.
Okay, is that all you had to ask? Is that all you
That's-
wanted to know?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Cannon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just, if I may, take the board through the special permit criteria. Number one is that the proposed project addresses or are consistent with neighborhood or town need. I think this kind of facility is really a perfect fit for the town, located in the town's largest commercial center. And I think that a lot of the folks that will use this service are already patrons of the center. So when they're coming to Stop and Shop or they're coming to Marshall's, now it's going to be great. They'll be able to drop their pet at the same time. So I really think it's, and a lot of people are, who are single, who want to have a pet, who work full time. This is a great opportunity for them to be able to utilize a service like this. So I really think my congratulations to Red Barn and Dogtopia for identifying a real need out there. Number two, the vehicular traffic flow, access, parking, pedestrian safety are properly addressed. Again, as Mr. Chairman, you've already mentioned, there's a controlled signal at the entrance to the facility. And it's a busy place, we all know that, but certainly more than capable of handling this operation. And we want successful businesses there at the plaza. So it's, again, the largest commercial center in town and more than adequate to handle the flow for this operation. Number three, public roadways, drainage, utilities, and other infrastructure are adequate, will be upgraded to accommodate the development, again, right off of 140, the busiest street in town, right off of 495. So all access is more than adequate for the proposed use. Number four, neighborhood character and social structure. Social structure will not be negatively impacted. I know Paula lives across the street, but that would be across 140 and then sort of behind the Starbucks Plaza is really the only sort of the residential folks in that area. So they're already used to, again, this large commercial center, not only at the Stop and Shop Plaza, but right along that stretch of 140 as well. So really no change to the impact in the neighborhood because of the addition of this particular business at the plaza. Number five, the project will not destroy or cause substantial damage to any environmentally significant natural resource, habitat, feature, or if it will, propose mitigation, remediation, replication, or compensatory measures are adequate. Again, they're using an existing pavement, existing building, so there'd be no impact. Number six, the number, height, bulk, location, siting of building construction will not result in abutting buildings being deprived of light or fresh air, etc. Again, using the existing building that's been there, so no impact there. and they're taking you through their measures to control noise, to control odor, so they won't create a nuisance for the area. And the landlord is eager to welcome them to the plaza. Would be concerned if felt that this kind of operation would negatively impact other tenants who have to deal with that headache. And then number 7, water consumption and sewer use, taking into consideration current and projected future local water supply and demand and wastewater treatment capacity will not be excessive. If I may, Mr. Chairman, through you, Kayla and Jim, could you just give the board a sense of the daily water usage that you have experienced in your other facilities?
Absolutely. So our water usage is equivalent to a typical single family household on average. So, we have all of our monthly statements. We've shown that we use on average about 9,700 gallons per month, again, which is similar to the consumption for an average household. And that goes as low as 6,000 gallons, up to 10,000 gallons, 11,000 gallons. But we are not a water intensive use at all.
So based on that, that the water consumption, sewer use would not be excessive. And again, in terms of the sewer use, as you've heard, the dog waste is either the liquid waste is cleaned up by a mop and then disposed of, or the solid waste is collected and then placed in the dumpster. So for all these reasons, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we respectfully request that a special permit issue to allow the dog pilferage operation.
I got another question for you, Attorney Cannon. If the board was so inclined to approve the special permit, how soon could you get us a draft decision?
By the end of next week, Mr. Chairman.
The end of next week. Yeah, we have to get it filed within 14 days. So, yeah,
Yeah,
that would probably work.
Be happy to do that.
Okay. Actually, it has to be done by July 4th. Yeah, it probably would be it.
So that Friday would be the outside. I would certainly try to have that before then, Mr. Chairman.
Well, we got to have it registered before, and filed with the town clerk before 14 days, within 14 days.
And I know the 4th of July weekend is coming up, so I'll shoot for Wednesday of next week, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second it.
Motion made and seconded to close the public hearing. Roll call vote. Archie,
Yes.
Philip,
Yes.
chair votes yes. I'll entertain a motion to grant the special permit for the applicant and only the applicant, Red Barn Dog Ops Mass LLC. And the location is units 48 and 50 at Franklin Village Drive. For the operation of a dog boarding, what is it here? Dog spa, daycare, and border business at that location. No veterinary services to be performed. And it's a 24 operation, but the pickup and drop off will be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Was that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. 7 days a
Mr.
week.
Chairman,
Yes. Go ahead, Gus.
could someone double check on the address for that suite?
Well, I just asked that again because it had 5 245s, and they said in the statement here during the meeting that it was units 48 and 50. Does that sound right to you?
As long as someone checks on that, don't make sure that that is correct.
Yeah,
The
Attorney
plan
Cannon, you'll get those.
the plan says Suite 4850, but it also says 475 Frankfurt Village Drive.
The suites are one thing, the address is another.
Right. Well, this other thing says 5 through 245 Franklin Village Drive. I don't know what that means either. Attorney
that
Cannon,
was-
can you get
Yeah.
that? Can we get that squared away?
Yes, the 5 to 245 was the assessors sort of depiction of the site, but I will clarify the particular unit numbers and make sure that those are correct in the proposed decision.
Does the whole mall have just one address? You know, like,
Yes,
like
Yes.
somebody said, whatever, 445 or 475 or whatever? And then
Yes,
these
that's-
would be the unit numbers in there?
exactly right, Mr. Chairman.
I would disagree with that.
Your building out
There
front,
are-
what's that? I'm sorry, Gus, go ahead.
There are particular addresses for each individual tenant space. So just make sure, Mr. Cannon, when you make that decision that that address is actually accurate. Not saying you don't have the right address right now, but just double check it. Okay?
That's fine. I can definitely do that. Again, I pulled that off of the assessor's card, which is
Yep.
for the
Not
entire.
it's in my world, it's a little challenging down there with the addresses, but there should be something on the front of that tenant space as well.
Yeah,
Just double
I'll-
check
I'll-
it, that's all. If
I'll do
you're
that.
accurate, then no harm.
I'll
no
do
foul.
that. I'm happy to do that, and I'll double check with you too, Gus, to
That's
just make
fine.
sure we're on the same page.
Yep.
No
You can
problem.
look out the window. You can look out the
Yeah.
window and check it, can't you?
That's right.
I just didn't know if those buildings had each individual numbered buildings, like your
They
building's
do.
what, 1000 Franklin Village Drive or something? Where your office is located?
Oh, we're actually over on Grove Street, but there is exactly, I think 1,000 is where the bank is, exactly. Right.
Yeah, okay, yeah, okay. All right, where did I leave off now? We got everything covered? Yes, we do. We'll check the draft when it comes in, make sure it's okay.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right, that'll be a motion. Somebody can move a second.
So
Second.
move.
Second,
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? I didn't think this would be a problem. I don't think it's gonna be a problem. I didn't realize that there was anything above them. I know there's second floor offices up there, but I didn't know there was anything above this end of the building, but anyway, that's the problem for the landlord and the tenants, not us. With that being said, I'll call for a vote, roll call vote. Philip,
yes,
Archie,
Yes.
chair votes yes. Thank you, everyone.
Great. Thank you all very much. Have a good evening.
Yeah, you too. General business, where am I? Minutes, meeting minutes. We've had the copy of the June 8th, 2023 meeting minutes. If you haven't had a chance to look at them, I'll give you a chance. If you've had a chance to look at them and you're all set with them, I'll entertain a motion.
Has everybody got a chance to read those?
yes,
I'd
I'm all
like to
set.
make a motion to accept the minutes for June 8th, 2023.
seconded,
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Chair votes yes. Philip,
yes,
Archie?
Yes.
Okay, congratulations, Archie. You just got reappointed to the board for another 3 years. He's got to get sworn in by the first meeting in July because that's his other term ends at June 30th, I think, so. What else is there? Casey's been working on a new schedule, pretty much every 2 weeks for next year. So I think we got most of July off, June, and then there's a big gap in between the next meeting. So anyway, we'll have that for the next meeting to vote on so she can get in and reserve the room. Hopefully before anybody else gets it, but now that I let the cat out of the bag, somebody will probably apply for those dates. Casey, anything to come before the board? We do have another meeting on
July 20th,
July 28th,
20th. Nope, 20th.
20th, okay,
Mhm.
20th, July 20th. And we have just one application on that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, anything else to come before the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
motion to adjourn,
So move. Second.
Motion made and seconded for adjournment, non-debatable. All those in favor, roll call vote. Chair votes yes. Philip,
yes.
Archie,
Yes.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you,
Good night,
Good
Archie.
night, Megan.
Okay, everybody.